أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي.
The opinion of Sheikh bin Baz and others, they state no. Najashi was this great ruler, and generally if a great ruler accepts Islam, you would find that his followers will also accept Islam. So they say that it is quite slim that if Najashi accepted Islam, that his followers wouldn't have accepted Islam. And they say, well, that means they would have accepted Islam, and had they accepted Islam, they would have prayed Salatul Janazah over Najashi. So Sheikh bin Baz and others are of the opinion that if the deceased was somebody great, somebody who had a great impact on the ummah, somebody who benefited the ummah a lot, then due to his greatness, then that's the reason why the Messenger ﷺ prayed over Najashi. This whole mas'ala goes back to why did the Prophet ﷺ prayed over Najashi? Was it just because he wanted to pray janazah over him? Was it because Najashi, this was specific to him? Was it because no one prayed over Najashi in his country? Was it because Najashi was great? And due to whichever illah you had taken, whichever reason you take, then you apply it from there. And in reality, the opinion which seems to be the strongest of the opinions is the fourth opinion, that because Najashi was somebody who was great, that's why the Messenger ﷺ prayed Salatul Janazah over him. Walhamdulillah. And so if your grandfather, your uncle was somebody who was super great in his country, even though people pray over him in his country, you can pray Salatul Janazah over him in your country also. For example, when Sheikh Abul Hasan al-Nadwi had passed away, then in the Haramain, Haram of Mecca and Medina, they prayed Salatul Janazah over him. When, for example, Sheikh bin Baz had passed away, Salatul Janazah was prayed over him in Mecca, in Medina. In fact, many of the masajid in Saudi Arabia, Salatul Janazah was prayed over him. Walhamdulillah. In summary of this matter, if, for example, you find someone praying Salatul Janazah over his uncle who passed away in a certain country, don't make an issue. Even if you follow a different opinion, don't make an issue. It's not like he's eating up the wealth, he's eating up the haqq of someone else. He needs closure, he wants closure. Walhamdulillah, the Shafi and the Hanbali madhabs are of the opinion that you totally allowed to pray Salatul Janazah over the deceased who is ghaib. With that, inshaAllah, we will stop today's lesson, but there are a few masail that we require going into a bit more detail. When we spoke about the issue of the ghusl, we mentioned number one, when you are performing ghusl over someone, there are certain conditions which apply to the person who is doing the washing. Number one, the person who is performing the ghusl, they must be Muslim. Why? Because we mentioned that this ghusl, it is an act of worship and it is also for purification. And an act of worship is only accepted from the Muslim because you require intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. So the washer, the person who is doing the washing, should be Muslim. Can one wash a non-Muslim? The answer is yes. When Abu Talib had passed away, the Messenger ﷺ stated to Ali radiallahu ta'ala an, the hadith recorded by Imam Abu Dawood, that wash your father. So it is permissible to wash the non-Muslim, but as for the Muslim who has passed away, then a Muslim must wash the Muslim. Number two, we wash every person who was born alive. Every person who was born alive. So if the fetus, if there was a miscarriage, if for example the female, she had a miscarriage and we have this janeen, we have this fetus, do we give this fetus a ghusl? The answer is no, according to majority of the scholars. But the Hanbali scholars are of the opinion, if for example the female, she had a miscarriage after 120 days, then they said technically this is after the ruh was blown into that being, and so it would be allowed and would be recommended for one to perform the ghusl over that child. So if it was after 4 months into the pregnancy, the Hanbali scholars state that you also give this fetus a ghusl. Number three, the person who we wash must not be a shaheed. The person that we wash must not be a shaheed. So we wash every Muslim who was born alive and who was not a shaheed. Every Muslim born alive who was not a shaheed. With regards to born alive, we mentioned the issue of after 4 months into the pregnancy, the Hanbali scholars state that you also give that fetus a ghusl. Must not be a shaheed. Are we allowed to wash the shaheed? Yes, we are allowed, but the recommendation is that you do not perform ghusl over these shuhada, as the Messenger ﷺ had done so after the battle of Uhud. As for conditions attached to the person who is doing the washing, then the person who is doing the washing must be a Muslim. Number 2, the person must be sane so that they know what they are doing. Number 3, likeness of gender between the washer and the washed. So males wash males, females wash females. What are the 2 exceptions? Number 1, those under the age of 7, and number 2, the spouses. As for the wife washing the husband, then there is ijma consensus that this is allowed. But as for the husband washing the wife, then there is difference of opinion in this matter. Majority of the scholars, the Malikis, the Hanbalis, the Shafi scholars, they allow for the wife to wash, they allow for the husband to wash his wife who has passed away. I repeat, majority of the scholars allow for the husband Sulaiman to wash his wife Salihah. They allow this, walhamdulillah. And their proofs are many. Number 1, they state that just like how we have consensus that the wife is allowed to wash the husband, then there is no difference between him washing her, she washing him. Both ways must be allowed. Number 2, that's the fact that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said to her when she complained about a headache, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why are you complaining? If you pass away, if for example something happened to you, you died, then at least I would be the one who would wash you, I would be the one who would put you into the shroud, and I would be the one who would bury you and perform salatul janazah over you. And this hadith recorded by Imam Ibn Majah. So what did she say? She said, yes, and I'm sure by the end of the day you would marry someone else. Point of proof, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to her, I would be the one who would give you the ghusl. So here the husband washing the wife. Number 3, Ali radiallahu ta'ala anha, he had washed Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha after she had passed away, and the Sahaba knew about this, and that's why many a scholar states ijma of the Sahaba that this is allowed. Husband is allowed to wash the wife. Also we find Allah states in the Quran with regards to inheritance, وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ, and for you the husband is half of what your wife leaves you. Allah used the word wife, that although she has passed away, she is still technically in the ruling, the regulations of being your wife. So for you is half the estate of what your wife leaves for you. And we mentioned lastly the fact that in reality husband and wife, unlike the outsiders, generally males wash males, females wash females, but that male, your friend, your cousin, your brother, he's not allowed to look at that area, your aura area, but your spouse is allowed to look at your aura area. So in reality the one who has most right to washing of the other is the spouses, because your spouse is allowed to look at even the aura area, which even the other of the similar gender, they are not even allowed to look in that area. So subhanallah, those are the proofs of majority of the scholars. What's the proof of the Hanafi scholars who do not allow for the husband to touch his wife and perform ghusl over the wife? They state, well, death equals divorce. So relationship between yourself and this female is now broken off, so you do not have any right to touch her. And that's where that verse of the Quran comes in, that Allah states, وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ, for you is half of what your wife has left for you. That although she is dead, this zawjiyah still continues, and we know that she's going to be the queen of your wives in paradise, insha'Allah. Number 2, the Hanafi scholars state that, don't you see that if brother Ahmed was married to sister Sumayya, sister Sumayya passes away, half an hour later, can he get married to Sumayya's sister by the name of Salihah? The answer is yes, he can marry the sister of Sumayya whose name is Salihah. They said, well, if he marries sister Salihah, then technically he would be allowed to hold her hand, for example. So he's holding her hand, and you are saying that he's allowed to touch and he's allowed to perform ghusl over sister Sumayya. And we know that had sister Sumayya and Salihah been alive, he's not allowed to hold the hands of both of them together. He's not allowed to be in marriage to two sisters at the same time. So this is the reason that the Hanafi scholars did not allow for the husband to wash or touch the wife after she's passed away. They said because he is allowed to marry her sister, and if he marries the sister, then technically you are saying, or majority of the scholars, that he's allowed to touch both of the sisters. Allahu musta'an. Majority of the scholars, no doubt in the matter, their opinion is the stronger opinion in the matter, and that's the Hanbali madhab. We respond to the Hanafi scholars in that Allah states, وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ, that half for you is what your wife has left. Ijma of the Sahaba, Ali radiallahu ta'ala anh had washed Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. The hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we also say to them that the matter of the touching, etc., these form part of the rules after death. And the rules after that technically are slightly different. Don't you see the brother Ahmed, who was married to 20 sisters in this world, they will all be his wives in the akhirah. He was married to Sumayya. When she died, he married Salihah. When she died, he married Sumayya. When she died, he married Bilqis. And when she passed away, he married Amina. One sister after the other, all of them would be his wives in paradise. Walhamdulillah. Walhamdulillah. So that was the matter with regards to the conditions upon the washer. Must be Muslim. Number 2, must be sane. Likeness of gender, males to males, females to females. Under 7, anyone can wash them. We discussed the issue of the spouse. With regards to the ghusl, we also stated that if a person was specified in the wasiyah, then this person is given preference when it comes to the ghusl. With that, alhamdulillah, we come to the end of today's lesson. We will continue the chapter of Janazah next week, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Quick revision of the matters that we had taken. We discussed that once we are certain that this person has passed away, we close the eyes, we close up the jaw. We do not want to have this person in a sight which is unsightly. We moved on to the issue of the ghusl. We discussed the practical method of performing the ghusl. We spoke about the kafan of the male. It is 3 sheets of cloth. With regards to the female, it is 5 sheets of cloth. For both of them, 1 suffices. 3 is best for male, 5 is best for female, 1 is minimum. The ghusl for the male and the female, this is fard kifaya. Someone in the community must come forward and perform this. Similar with regards to the shrouding, it is fard kifaya. Similar with regards to burial of the dead, and similar with regards to salatul janazah. They are all fard kifaya. What's the reward for performance of salatul janazah? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam states, the person who performs salatul janazah over his brother, he gets the reward of a qirat. Then the Sahaba asked, what is a qirat? Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam states, like a massive mountain, and in certain narrations he mentioned the mountain range of Uhud. And the person who follows the procession until the person is buried, then he gets 2 qirats. He gets 2 mountain ranges like the mountain range of Uhud in reward. Walhamdulillah. And that's why when it was mentioned to one of the companions that this is the reward, he said, لَقَدْ فَرَّطْنَا فِي قَرَارِيتَ كَثِيرًا, that we were neglectful, we were lax with regards to so many qirat in reward. I didn't know about this matter, I was lax in the matter. So many qirats of rewards I have lost. Allahu musta'an. We moved on to the issue with regards to the salah upon the deceased at the graveyard, and we saw that this is something which is permissible. The author mentioned the had, the limit of 1 month, and we said that there is no limit up to 1 month. We spoke about the 4 opinions with regards to salatul janazah over a person who had passed away in a different country, and we discussed the matter at length. Walhamdulillah. With that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we come to the end of this lesson. I thank you all. Jazakumullahu khairan. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.